Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Janaranjana, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Janaranjana, Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Janaranjana, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Janaranjana, Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Boranitai, Jaya Boranitai, Boranitai, Jaya Boranitai, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajagacharya Stotha Rashada Shishiman Divine Grace Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning we will study Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, text number 42 and 43. Savitram Prajapatyam cha Brahmam chata brihat tatha Varta sanchaya shalina Siloncha iti vai grihe. Savitram Prajapatyam cha Brahmam chaiva brihat tatha Varta sanchaya shalina Siloncha hi vai grihe. Savitram Prajapatyam cha Brahmam chatha brihat tatha Varta sanchaya shalina Siloncha hi vai grihe. Synonyms. Savitram, the thread ceremony of the twice born. Prajapatyam, to execute the vow for 1 year. Cha and Brahman, acceptance of the Vedas. Cha and Atha also. Brihat, complete abstinence from sex life. Tatha, then. Varta, vocation in terms of Vedic sanction. Sanchaya, professional duty. Shalina, livelihood without asking anyone for cooperation. Sila unchaha, picking up rejected grains. Iti, thus. Why, even though. Grihe, in household life. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Then the thread ceremony for the twice born was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas. Rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocation in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. Translation, purport by Srila Prabhupada. During student life, the brahmacharis were given full instructions about the importance of the human form of life. Thus, the basic education was designed to encourage the student in becoming free from family encumbrances. Only students unable to accept such a vow in life were allowed to go home and marry a suitable wife. Otherwise, the student would remain a permanent brahmachari, observing complete abstinence from sex life for his whole life. It all depended on the quality of the student training. We had the opportunity to meet an avowed brahmachari in the personality of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj. Such a great soul is called a Naishthika Brahmachari. Then I'll also read text 43. Vaikanasha Bala Kilyao Dambaraha Penapa Bane Nyase Kunchaka Purvam Baboda Hamsa Nishkriyao. Translation. The 4 divisions of retired life are the Vaikanasha, Bala Kilya, Audambara, and Penapa. The 4 divisions of the renounced order of life are the Kutichaka, Bhavudaka, Hamsa, and Nishkriya. All these were manifested from Brahma. Purport. The Varnashram Dharma, or the institution of the 4 divisions and orders of social life and spiritual life, is not a new invention of the modern age as proposed by the less intelligent. It is an institution established by Brahma from the beginning of creation. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4:13. Chaturvanyam Maya Shishtam. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shwa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunaranvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brinda Vaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this chapter is about Lord Brahma. He is, Krishna has empowered him with the intelligence for doing various creation, populating the universe, and not just populating the universe, also all the various elements of Vedic culture. Here we have read about how Brahma, he has created the thread ceremony and the rules that are to be followed for the acceptance of the Vedas, rules for abstaining from sex life, and then all the various vocations. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, then professional duties in household life and how to maintain livelihood, and then he created the Varnashram system. Specifically mentioned here is the the Vanaprastha and the Vanaprastha ashram and the Sannyas ashram. So all these were manifested from Brahma. Brahma is extremely intelligent. He's fully blessed by Krishna to perform this service. Here we can see how kind, how merciful Krishna is. Although this material creation, this material world is populated by those who are rebellious, who are envious of Krishna, who are averse to the idea of Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those living entities who want to enjoy independent of Krishna. They come to this material world. But in spite of that, Krishna has made this material world so organized, so systematic. All the as mentioned in the invocation mantra of Sri Isopanishad, Om Purnam Ada Purnam Idam Purnam Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Krishna is Purnam, and anything that emanates from Krishna. Specifically, he's referring to two entities, the living entity, the Jiva, and this material cosmos. They are in their original form. The Jiva is Purnam, complete, and this cosmos, this manifested universe, is also complete, Purnam. And now Lord Brahma is going about, ensuring that the Purnamness, the completeness of the universe will come about the way he's going around creating in a very systematic order. In last Saturday, I had given the Srimad Bhagavatam class,
There we read the incident about Brahma. He produced a daughter named Vak, and Brahma, he became bewildered after that, and he was attracted to his own daughter, and he started chasing after her. But then later on, when he realized what a grave error he's committing, Brahma, he gave up his body. He gave up his body, took on a new body, and continued with his service, his devotional service as authorized by Krishna. So from there we learn, in our devotional journey, we may commit mistakes, we may commit aparadhas, but we should never give up the path of devotional service. We should bounce back and continue the fight. Devotional service is like a fight against Maya. It is just like, these boxing matches, two fighters, they are punching each other, and one of them may fall, but he gets up. For some seconds, he may be a little bit shocked. He gets up from the floor and he continues the fight till one of them is the winner. So in the purport, Prabhupada, the very first sentence is talking about the student life. During student life, the brahmacharis were given full instructions about the importance of the human form of life. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the best example of this instructions given for student life regarding what is the purpose of the human form of life. This is given by Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was a 5-year-old boy, and he's been enrolled in a Gurukul by his father Hiranyakashipu. He was enrolled to learn how to become a brilliant demon. But Prahlad was a devotee, one of the greatest devotees. So in this chapter, chapter 6 of 7th canto, Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. Here we get the perfect, what Srila Prabhupada has said in the purport in the student life, and how one must learn about the importance of the human form in student life. Prahlad Maharaj is instructing his friends in specifically during the time of some break, some recess time. So Prahlad Maharaj, instead of just like children are, they will simply run around, play, childish. That is the very meaning of the word childish. They will engage in childish activities. But Prahlad Maharaj, no, he's using this time for giving them the most valuable shiksha. He's serving as their shiksha guru. So Prahlad Maharaj begins by saying, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life, one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Prahlad Maharaj is stressing the point that it is very, very extremely rare to get this human birth. Extremely rare. If you just statistically compare, even in the locality in which we stay, even whichever, like I'm right now in Seshadripuram, the percentage of humans compared to all the other forms of life, there is so many plants, trees, creepers, weeds, and what to speak of all these small insects, bugs, all kinds of, and so many of microorganisms, which also come under the 84 lakh species compared to, the quantity of non-human species that are available just in the Seshadripuram area, trees and plants and so many things. And the number of humans, the percentage of humans will be just 0.00001, perhaps even less than that percent. And this is just emphasizing the point, how rare, how the quantity of humans is actually very small on this planet compared to all the different species. So having and the human form of birth, Prahlad Maharaj is saying is not to be wasted. Right from the beginning, one should be engaged in devotional service, giving up all other engagements. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha vishyami masa suchaha. This must begin from one's birth only. No waiting for later on. No question of postponing. I will postpone. Now let me be busy with my material activities. Material nature has no mercy. Material nature has no mercy. If one living entity's time is up in this present body, that's it. Not 1 second extra. Not 1 second extra is granted. Time is over, and then one has missed the chance of performing devotional service. And in the next text number 2, Prahlad is telling, the human form of life affords one a chance to return home back to God. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the most beloved, the master of the soul, and the well-wisher of all living beings. Prahlad Maharaj is giving very, very valuable instructions. This person who we are engaging in his devotional service, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, there are two interesting things about Lord Krishna. In one hand, Krishna is the supremely, the absolute powerful living entity, the creator, the supreme proprietor, the all-knowing. He's Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He's a supreme enjoyer. He's a supreme proprietor. Everything is supreme, the supreme, most powerful. There is this saying, Rakhe Krishna Mare Ke, Mare Krishna Rakhe Ke. If Krishna wants to maintain a living entity, no force in the 14 planetary systems can kill that living entity. And if Krishna wants to kill one particular living Jivatma, wants to kill, then no force in the 14 planetary systems can save this personality. And this is the power of Krishna. He's holding the full grip. Krishna is holding the full grip of everyone. This is one side of Krishna. And even better than this is Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. Krishna is the well-wisher, the most beloved friend. No one loves us, no one is a better friend than Krishna. Krishna is the best. He is so having such a wonderful friend, a wonderful well-wisher, always wanting to do good to us, he's the most worthy person of doing devotional service. He's the most. This is what Prahlad is reminding us, and it is most natural. Such a person like Krishna, it is most natural for us to offer our service to him. One more text I will read about this. Prahlad Maharaj continues, my dear friends, born of demoniac families, the happiness perceived with reference to the sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life according to one's past activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just as we obtain distress. So here, Prahlad Maharaj is giving a very wonderful logic. He said, distress, material life is such that, happiness and distress, they just this automatically flow into our lives, these experiences. Sometimes distress, sometimes happiness, sometimes distress. Again, back to in a cyclic way, the fluctuation. This fluctuation is there. Happiness, distress, happiness, distress. Nobody can stop. Nobody can stop this fluctuation. There's nothing you can do. That is why the advice given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Tam Stitikshashva Bharata. O Bharata, O Arjuna, learn to tolerate these fluctuations. You got to tolerate this and continue with your duty. Same advice given by Lord Chaitanya in Shikshastakam. Even Lord Chaitanya is even more explicit. Trinarapi Sunichena Taro Reva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtanya Sada Hari. You have to become humbler than a blade of grass or a straw on the street. You have to be more tolerant than a tree, always ready to offer respects to others, not what you call obsessed with receiving respect for oneself. And one should continue with his prime duty of chanting the holy name of the Lord and engaging in devotional service to the holy name. Holy name and Krishna are non-different. So these are all the valuable lessons which one must learn from childhood. Unfortunately, our blind leaders, those who form the education policies, they do not emphasize on Krishna consciousness, on devotional service. They are merely busy with, giving training, how to grow up, how to earn a living, how to get into a vocation, how to get into some career, how to get into some occupation and keep yourself busy in this materialistic career, which is. But the problem with this, there is no training of engaging in devotional service. There is no what you call, bringing the balance. There's no bringing the balance into this. Then in the purport to text 42, Srila Prabhupada is referring, in Srila Prabhupada's writings on few occasions, he directly refers to his Diksha Guru, his initiating spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada says, it was our great fortune to have met such a wonderful, topmost Paramhamsa devotee who was an avowed brahmachari, a Naishtika brahmachari from his childhood out there. Srila Prabhupada, on some occasions, I'm now reading few excerpts from Srila Prabhupada's letters where he's speaking about this Mahant Guru, this great personality. When a disciple misunderstands a bona fide spiritual master, the master regrets for his inability to protect the disciple, and sometimes he cries with tears in the eyes. We had an experience while my Guru Maharaj was alive. One of his disciples who accepted sannyasa was one day forcibly dragged by his wife. My Guru Maharaj lamented with tears in his eyes, saying that he could not save the soul. I may inform you that you cannot be full as you have humbly expressed yourself. Better to remain and ever full before and even full before the spiritual master. But if a disciple is actually full, it reflects on the spiritual master. To think of becoming a fool is the real qualification of the bona fide disciple. As soon as one thinks that he has become the wiser man than the spiritual master, one is surely doomed. We should remain everlastingly a fool before the spiritual master. Not artificially, but feelingly, and then we can make real progress. Even my spiritual master, a great scholar, remained a so-called fool before his spiritual master, who was outwardly an illiterate village fellow. Srila Prabhupada is referring to Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So in the absolute world, the fool is also the master, and the master is also a fool in reciprocal exchange of dealings. Then this is a very nice, a well-known saying by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada is referring to this. My Guru Maharaj used to say that just rise early in the morning and then kick the mind with a shoe 100 times. Then while going to sleep, one should take a broomstick and strike the mind another 100 times. The mind is so restless that it can be brought to tameness only by the process suggested by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So you should try this process and stop the mind from running away now and then. If you follow the process of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, naturally he will help you in controlling the mind and bestow all the blessings upon you. This is a very powerful, wonderful instructions by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada is reminding us this mind, this material mind that we have is a very wicked fellow, very, very wicked. We have this in the Padma Puran, Smartavya Satatam Vishnur, Vishmartavya Na Jatu Sit. That always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Sarva Vidhi Nishedasyor Etayor Eva Kinkara. And all other rules and regulations, are Kinkara, are servants of these two. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. I have seen in Vrindavan, devotees, they're wearing a nice t-shirt, nice colorful t-shirt. In the front it is written, always remember Krishna, and in the back it is written, never forget Krishna. Very nice it is. But the mind, our material mind is, it is such a tricky fellow. Instead of obeying this, instead of cooperating with this instruction from Padma Purana, it is doing just the opposite thing. Always remember things that are nothing to do with Krishna consciousness, and always forget things of Krishna consciousness. This is how the mind is pushing its agenda into us, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, no compromise. Take a shoe, beat the mind. No. And take a broomstick and beat the mind. No being nice and diplomatic, and the mind doesn't deserve any kindness out there. So the very nice Srila Prabhupada, wonderful things he is telling us about his spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada in the next text, in text 43, he is referring to the Varnashrama, specifically the what is called the Vanaprastha and the Sannyas Ashrama, the four what you call categories in the Vanaprastha ashram, and the 4 categories in the Sannyas ashram. These details in some future class we can get into. Regarding the Vanaprastha ashram, that Just like I referred to Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was the ideal in the Brahmachari ashram, and not only himself was ideally following, but he was preaching. He was giving instructions how to be the best brahmachari. That means right from childhood, be engaged in devotional service and not in frivolous activities. And regarding the Vanaprastha, Srila Prabhupada, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's reference to Maharaj Prithu. Maharaj Prithu, he was Shakti Avesh avatar, empowered by Krishna. Yeah, and the Shakti that was empowered into Prithu was how to rule this planet. He was a perfect ruler. Just like the Vishnu Tattva himself, Lord Vishnu himself. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we are fine. So Vishnu, his incarnation, his expansion, Lord Ramchandra, who is the supremely perfect ruler. So in the same way, Krishna has empowered this Maharaj Prithu and his empowered, powerful rulers. What they do is, see, I'm reading from this text one now. This is, we are in, I'll tell you, Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter number 23. Maharaj Prithu is going back home, back to Godhead. So from childhood, one is engaged in devotional service fully, and one performs one's Krishna given duties in the material world, in the various occupations. Like in Prithu Maharaj's case, he was a Kshatriya in the 4 spiritual orders, and in the vocation orders, in the social order, he was a Grihastha. He was a Grihastha and he was a Kshatriya. Then when time comes, here in the translation of text 1, at the last stage of his life, when Maharaj Prithu saw himself getting old, that great soul who was king of the world divided whatever opulences he had accumulated amongst all kinds of living entities, moving and non-moving. He arranged pensions for everyone according to religious principles, and after executing the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in complete coordination with him, he dedicated his sons unto the earth, which was considered to be his daughter. Then Maharaj Prithu left the presence of his citizens, who were almost lamenting and crying from feeling separation from the king, and went to the forest alone with his wife to perform austerities. This is the exact literal meaning of the word Vanaprastha. Vana means forest, Prastha means entering. So this was in the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, even when the Vedic culture was strong in Kali Yuga. Great personalities, they used to do this out there. But in our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, it is not recommended, because this is not the type of training we have had from in our livelihood, and this is not the culture that is present on the planet. It is not recommended that a devotee, when he is approaching old age and death, one goes to the forest. It is completely unsafe, and one will not be able to survive for a few moments also, and will not be able to do devotional service. Will be full of anxiety. One does not know what to do. On the other hand, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the example of Dhruva Maharaj. At the tender age of 5, he simply walked fearlessly into the forest out there. These things cannot be imitated out there. Cannot be imitated. Here, rather what is in the instructions given to devotees in ISKCON is when you just don't be absorbed in simply in your maintenance and worldly duties when you reach your old age, but increase your engagement in Krishna consciousness. Increase just the percentage of Krishna consciousness, and your activities in Krishna consciousness should far outweigh your just your material maintenance activities. And then this is the vanaprastha. The difference between this obvious difference between the vanaprastha and sannyas life is, in vanaprastha, one is allowed to stay with his wife. The husband is advanced spiritually, the wife is also advanced spiritually. In our ISKCON society, we have spiritual masters who are grihasthas. Both the Prabhu is very advanced, the Mataji is very, very advanced, and they have disciples. The Prabhu has disciples, and they're setting an ideal example of engaging in Krishna consciousness, and they are very, very respected. They're respected as much as a sannyasi in our ISKCON society. There are quite a few of spiritual masters in the Grihastha ashram. And of course, the sannyas. Sannyas, there is no question of having any connection with wife. Sannyas is considered like civilly dead, socially dead. It is like, this person has from his family members has become dead. That is what you call the sannyas ashram. The sannyas ashram. So here in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see right from the time, these are the what you call the beginning moments, the beginning moments of creation. From beginning moments of creation, things are done in a very, very, very planned, systematic way. The blueprint is very, very perfect. Nothing is done what you call in a whimsical manner. Nothing is when Brahma is the Adi Kavaya, as referred to in the very first text of Srimad Bhagavatam. When he is going about his duties of creation, he's thinking of the entire cycle, the entire, the duration of the universe, some of these basic things that are required. The Varnashrama. Varnashrama is, Varnashrama especially, it is of greater relevance. It is the perfect way for the leader of a country, of a nation, to organize the population as per the 4 Varnas and the 4 Ashrama. And whether the people of the world accept Varnashrama or not, it is there. It is there. Srila Prabhupada, he was speaking about the situation in Russia. This was in 1960s and 1970s. He was telling in Russia, they simply want to make one class of people, the labor class. Everybody will be labor. They will work hard and offer everything to the government. Nothing belongs to, this is that communist idea, the communism, socialism, communism. Everything belongs to the government, and the government will take full care. One interesting thing is, in Russia, they're so used to this idea, nothing belongs to me. I just have to I work hard and I offer everything to the government, and the government is supposed to maintain me out there. So when Krishna consciousness was spreading in Russia, and when the people of Russia were reading Srila Prabhupada's books and were hearing the statements that Krishna is the authority, everything has to be offered to Krishna. And it was very easy, in one sense, those who were already in a favorable mood, it was very easy to accept this instruction. We already know from our childhood that everything has to be offered to somebody, the rascal government. But now we have the most perfect Lord to offer to. Oh, this is so wonderful. We'll offer everything to him. And we will, in return, what will Krishna give us? He'll give us eternal life, full of knowledge, full of bliss. This is a better deal. Better to become a devotee. So this, so wonderful, this And the very purpose of Varnashrama is to satisfy Lord Vishnu. At the end, Lord Vishnu is very satisfied when he sees that people are going about their duties in a very regulated Vedic way, with the ultimate aim of going back to Godhead, not just as individual, as society as large. The main manifesto, the main program of the administration is everyone should go back to Godhead. Otherwise, the education system that is being propagated, the material education system, and it is perfectly explained by Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his song, Jada Vidya Jara Mayara Vaibhav, Tumara Bhajane Badha, Moha Janmaya Anitya Sansare, Jive ke Koroe Gadha. All this so-called knowledge of this world is born of the flickering potency of your illusory energy, Krishna's illusory energy, Maya. It is an impediment to the execution of devotional service to you. Indulgence in mundane knowledge verily makes an ass of the eternal soul by encouraging his infatuation with the temporary world. So education minus Krishna consciousness, this is what it is. It is simply one big load on the head, simply one big load. And just like in Isopanishad, Purport Prabhupada is telling, avidya, ignorance is dangerous, but more dangerous than ignorance is vidya, knowledge. But this vidya is not referring to Krishna conscious Vedic vidya. It is referring to mundane material vidya, which makes you more puffed up. And Prabhupada, he gives the analogy, is comparing, it is like a cobra with a jewel on its head. And a normal cobra is an extremely dangerous creature. And just by hearing the word cobra, we get fear. And a cobra with a jewel on his head is even more fearsome. So one who is, simply busy, one who is simply busy in acquiring material possession, material education, material this, was becoming more and more, like becoming more and more puffed up, more and more infatuated, more and more going deeper and deeper into illusion. Very difficult to get these people out. A simple person, it is difficult it is easy to bring into Krishna consciousness. But these people who have extremely high education and such, what you call, the glaring, what you call the glare of the material energy is too strong. It makes us blind, and makes us very difficult to proceed on the path of Krishna consciousness. So we'll end this class here. Hare Krishna. I think there is a question in the chat. Yeah. Pallavi Rao. Yeah, please ask the question.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Yeah, suddenly I got.
One second. Mataji, please wait. To hear properly, I need to wear the earphone. Yes, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, so in the creation chapter, like the previous one, it was when Brahma created Rudra, and then he asked him to procreate and species. So that is when all the angry species came out, right? So like after that, did Shiva stop creating, or how is it? Like only the Manus were creating, or Manus means after that he created Manus and other people, right? Like the Rishi. I forgot the name, Prabhuji. Yeah. So did Shiva stop creating, or did he continue what he was doing? Is the question.
Yeah, let us directly go there. From his eyebrows. Although he tried to curb his anger, it came out from between his eyebrows, and a child mixed blue and red was immediately generated. This is Rudra. After his birth, he began to cry, "O destiny maker, teacher of the universe, kindly designate my name and place." The all-powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, pacified the boy with gentle words, accepting his request, and said, "Do not cry. I shall certainly do as you desire." Then Brahma said, "O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name Rudra by all people because you have so anxiously cried. My dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence: the heart, the senses, the air of life, the sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and austerity. Srila Prabhupada explains the Rudra or the anger or the Krodha principles are available here. And after that, Lord Brahma said, "My dear boy Rudra, you have 11 other names: Manya, Manu, Manisa, Mahari, Shiva, Ritadvaj, Ugrareti, Bhava, Kala, Vamadeva, Tritavrata." And he says, "O Rudra, you have also 11 wives called the Rudranis, and the names are mentioned. My dear boy, you may now accept all the names and places designated for you and your different wives. And since you are now one of the masters of the living entities, you may increase the population on a large scale." As you said, yes, this is, now he is like a Prajapati. And then what happens? The most powerful Rudra, whose bodily color was blue mixed with red, created many offsprings, exactly resembling him in features, strength, and furious nature. The sons and grandsons generated by Rudra were unlimited in number. And when they assembled together, they attempted to devour the entire universe. So this was a very dangerous situation. So the what you call the descendants of Rudra are going to devour the universe. The whole purpose of creation is going to be lost. When Brahma saw this, he became afraid of the situation. Brahma told Rudra, "O best among the demigods, there is no need for you to generate living entities of this nature." So Brahma put a full stop to this. They have begun to devastate everything on all sides with the fiery flames from their eyes. And they have even attacked me. My dear son, you had better situate yourself in penance. So this is how this story ends. Brahma is telling Rudra, you better do tapasya, which is auspicious for all living entities and which will bring all benediction upon you. By penance only shall you be able to create the universe as it was before. By penance only can one approach the personality of Godhead, who is within the heart of every living entity and at the same time beyond the reach of all senses. And then Maitreya is telling, thus Rudra, having been ordered by Brahma, circumambulated his father, addressing him with words of assent. He entered the forest to perform austere penances. So this is how the story of Rudra ends with that. He enters to the forest and does tapasya. And then what does Brahma do? Brahma thought of generating living entities and begot 10 sons for the extension of these were the Prajapatis, and the names are Marichi, Atri, Angri, Pulastaya, Pulaha, Kratu, Bhrigu, Vasistha, Daksha, and the 10th son Narada were thus born. So the Rudra episode is now over. So now the Prajapatis headed by Marichi. In my last class, I spoke in details about Marichi. So this is how the history of creation proceeds. Everything is explained directly in this chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And from now on, no more disturbance from these descendants of Rudra.
So what happened to the descendants of Rudra?
It's not mentioned, but certainly after hearing the instructions of Rudra, instructions of Brahma, Rudra has certainly put the situation in control. Otherwise, he'll not irresponsibly enter into the forest for his tapasya, because now everything has come back to balance. Otherwise Brahma will not be able to what you call create these 10 Prajapatis. If if all these Rudra lings were trying to devour Brahma himself and all the creation.
Okay.
So Rudra had control over his descendants out there.
Okay, so he is then entitled the job of only destruction during the Pralaya times, is it?
Yes. Now he is doing tapasya to bring back all the order and to earn the favor of the Lord. And he will be restored in his service, in his proper service. On this.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Danda Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad.
Prabhuji, like as we're saying in the class, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur told, beat the mind 100 times by the shoes and 100 times in the broom. So how practically we should understand this? How can we beat a mind, Prabhuji? So how can we apply this, please?
Let's open it up. Anyone else would like to, of course, mind is subtle. Mind is a subtle element, and shoes and sticks are gross element. So the subtle element gross element can never beat a subtle element. Physically not possible. So how do we understand this? It'll be nice if very wonderful devotees here we have in our meeting. Somebody would like to also, what does it mean? Wake up in the morning and beat it 1000 times with shoes, and before going to sleep, beat it another 1000 times with a broom.
Chanting is the best process, Prabhuji.
Chanting is the best process. So we beat the mind with chanting. Should we take it like that? We so much fill it with.
We engage in we have to engage our mind in chanting, so that our mind will come to control. Prabhu. It will be controlled.
Good answer. Just like the whole purpose of beating means to suppress something, just like a snake. If there's a snake out in the field, people with sticks, they will beat the snake, horribly beat. I've never seen it, but it is easy to understand this in the villages and all that. They'll take a big danda and beat the snake, beat till it becomes lifeless. It's, in other words, the process of beating is to make it powerless. So this mind is so wicked and powerful, like the what you call the sons and grandsons of Rudra. They want to devour our living, our real self. So as Mataji said, we beat it with the process of Krishna consciousness. We just engage ourselves with Krishna consciousness and suppress the evil tendencies of the mind, the non-surrendering tendencies of the mind. We beat it with Krishna consciousness. Don't encourage the mind to raise its hood, to show its true colors. Good. Beating means to suppress it, to not allow it to survive. I think that's a good way to understand.
Thank you, Prabhu. One more question, Prabhu. When the Atma, the soul, enters a body, life comes to the body. So from the birth till the death, the energy level, normally when it's birth, the energy level is not that much. As the body grows, the energy also improves. So is it the soul that is supplying the energy, or is it from material nature, Prabhu? That I want to know, please.
The soul is the original that has activated the body, made it animated, given life to the body. But the body follows the laws of Prakriti. The body follows the laws of Prakriti, but the soul is like the battery. It's like the battery which is making sure But again, okay, let me just simply give you the example of, say, of a bulb. What happens to the bulb is the electricity that is flowing into the bulb is the same throughout. But after some time, the bulb, nowadays, of course, we have these LED bulbs, which are very powerful. I'm talking about the olden type bulb. You know, slowly, the bulb will become dim. It will become dim, and one day it will just push. It will not work. But the electricity, nothing has happened to the original electricity. Similarly, the soul is all, as you said, is the most energetic. But this body, as per, you know, influence of Prakriti, it is a what you call earth, water, fire, air, ether, you know, all these they start, you know, especially, okay, let us talk about some organ of the body, you know, which starts gradually becoming weak. Some organ like the, what you call, say, the liver, for example. Let us say the liver, when one is youth, I'm giving you my own experience, you know, very easy to digest. The liver is working very strong, but as, you know, age progresses, the what you call the liver's capacity is become, you know, with age, with time, you know, it's a law of nature. At the same time, the power of the soul is same. Soul, and nothing can, as Krishna says in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the soul can never be diminished in any way. The soul is soul. It is, soul is like absolute. There's no diminution. But the body undergoes, you know, the laws, the 6 transformations. What are the 6 transformations? It takes birth, number 1. The number 6 element is death. In between, it grows for some time. It produces byproducts. It maintains itself for some time, and it then dwindles. And then finally death comes. So the laws of Prakriti is applicable to the body, and the laws of the spiritual world are applicable to the soul, no diminishing to the soul. And as Krishna says, Dehino Ashmin Yatha Dehe, Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara, Tatha Dehantara Prapti. The soul is exactly like that. And when this body becomes useless, the soul moves on to the next body. And in the next body, again, Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara. Krishna is giving this three categories: childhood, youth, and old age. The beginning, the middle, and the end. The body undergoes all these phases, which is the law of Krishna's law of material nature. Is that clear, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. What I understood is, Prabhu, that spiritual soul is related to spiritual nature, and it's always giving the energy to the body, and the material body is related to material nature. So, as per the material nature, the body becomes weak.
Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara.
Jara, it was, yes. Prabhu, can I ask one more question, Prabhu?
Sure.
Yes, Prabhu. Like Brahma created the Prajapatis and everyone to increase the progenies. So how do we understand this? Normally we have told, like, due to we were revolted to Krishna, so we were all brought to this material world. So when Brahma is creating the progeny, Brahma is, you know, like creating the asking the Prajapatis to create a number of progenies. So the progenies what they were creating, are those progeny, those who were revolted to Krishna, that they were producing, Prabhu, or how do we understand this? You know, a little confusion in this, if you can please.
In the beginning, everything is very fresh. Although it is the material world, the first living entity is Brahma, you know, who practically has no contamination, who's pure, and the Prajapatis he's creating, you know, Marichi and all the other rishis. They are great rishis who know the Vedic principle. But as Krishna says, you know, in Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam imam rajashayu viduhu sa kale neha nashta. Sa kale neha nashta. In the course of time, the time element is such. Time will, you know, create in time what you call the real color of this material world is going to come out. Now we are just in the beginning stage. In the beginning, we cannot understand. Just like in our human relations also. At the beginning, you know, we strike a deal with somebody, everything seems to be nice. But in time, it becomes clear that this fellow is a cheater. This fellow is a duplicitous person. So similarly, in the creation, right, everything is fresh. But as generations and generations and more population is coming, and more things, all this, what you call, how the nastiness of the material world is going to become more manifest. Now in the creation time, it is not, things are not so much there now. Slowly it will. And in Srimad Bhagavatam we will learn, especially when we come to time of the all the events leading up to Mahabharat war. So much cheating, duplicity, so much of the influence of Kali is so much there. All this is just wait. As generations come, things will start becoming nashta, spoiled. Will become away. Will start deviating from the standard. That is why the meaning of Krishna says yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati abharat abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. I keep srijamya. I keep appearing. Whenever there is too much of rise of irreligion and too much suppression of religion. Krishna himself says is the very nature of the material world. Very nature of the material world that irreligion is going to rise. Dharma, adharma, and dharma is going to be what you call, dharma is going to come down, irreligion up, dharma down, and Krishna is going to come, or Krishna's representative is going to come. Yuge. Krishna is, this is not just one time affair. Krishna has to come and correct. Krishna has to come and correct the situation. So all these errors and all these things do happen in the material universe. We are just in the first, first few moments of the universe right now. Okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, like as you said, father of our mankind is Manu. So when Manu generated so many children, all like, so are those children like Manu created? Are they also revolted to Krishna? So we were brought up here, Prabhu. Like my confusion is that since Brahma, when he was asking his children to create the progeny, so those progeny those were created were all those progeny, but particularly who revolted against Krishna, they were brought in to this material world. How do you understand? But in one way, we see Krishna glances at the Mahatattva and all the living entities were dropped in. So I can't understand this. Please, if you can help me out. Thank you.
See, it is we are far removed from the time of creation. We are simply absorbed in our day-to-day activities. Some of the most fundamental truths are not so easy to grasp. You understand, it is, what is happening at from Vishnu's level, at Brahma's level, at those truths, from the scriptures, we get some information, and it is not that, you and me can, master these topics. Yes, what you said is perfectly correct. This material world is meant for the rebellious jivatmas. Very true, it is rebellious jivatmas. At the same time, you're bringing out this point. What about these great rishis? What about these? Are they rebellious? It is. We cannot speculate. We cannot speculate what their nature is, and why they are particularly taking birth in this material world. For example, Marichi, Pulastaya, Vasishtha, all these great rishis, are they rebellious? Are they not rebellious? But in our present times, almost everybody is a rebellious, and everybody needs Krishna consciousness out there. So how exactly the beginning, why exactly Krishna placed all these rishis who seem not to be rebellious? Krishna has a plan. Krishna knows these things. I will tell you that. Krishna knows exactly what is going on, and whose level of rebel is how much, and what exactly needs to be done. What needs to be done, who needs to be placed, especially talking about the time of the starting of the progeny process now. Who needs to be placed when, what is going to be happen. Exactly, it is happening per Vishnu's plan. That is for sure. And I'll tell you, Srila Prabhupada also says, in this material world, up to a certain limit, we can gain knowledge. When we go back to the spiritual world, everything will become crystal clear. Everything will become crystal clear. We have to just keep in mind, Krishna is omniscient. He knows everything. And we are his insignificant part and parcel. Little bit knowledge we have. How much can we understand about, especially at the beginning of time, what is happening? Some knowledge we'll get from scriptures. And our limited brain can assimilate a little bit something. Specifically, Lord Chaitanya, he gave his own example. He said, I was very busy studying all this knowledge, Vedanta knowledge and all this knowledge. But my guru, when I took my initiation from Sripad Ishwara Puri, I understood I'm full number one and I engaged in devotional service, beginning with chanting of the holy name. This is at our level, this is what we should be doing. Okay, Prabhu?
Like yeah, Prabhu. Thanks a lot, Prabhu. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna,
Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah.
Prabhu, one more small doubt, Prabhu. Why is Rudra? Normally we say Rudra. Later is referred as Shiva. So how do we? Is it that one more name of Rudra we call Shiva, or why we not related as normally we call Shiva, not called Rudra? Why is that difference there?
There is Vishnu Tattva, which is the topmost, and then there's Jiva Tattva, that's us, living entity. Between Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva is Lord Shiva Tattva, Shiva Tattva. So there is an original Lord Shiva who resides in his Sadashiv. In Bangalore, we have Sadashiv Nagar, nice name that is. Sadashiv Loka, there is, that is a planet in the Vaikuntha region. And Lord Shiva, the original Lord Shiva, is residing there. He's a liberated living entity. He's almost like Vishnu. He's almost like Vishnu, but just few qualities less than Vishnu he is. And this Rudra that we are referring to is an expansion. This Rudra that has been created by Brahma, he is an expansion of the Sadashiv, And this Rudra is going about, at the beginning, is going about his destruction activities. And Brahma corrects him out there. So he's an expansion. That's exactly. So there is an original Lord Shiva. Just like Krishna has his expansions, Shiva also has his expansions. He's empowered by Krishna to manifest expansions out there.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Yeah. So Shiva, from where Shiva took birth from where, Prabhu? Like how exactly?
Lord Shiva is an eternal. He stays in his Sadashiv. That's why it's called Sadashiv. Lord Shiva, actually, see, all these demigods like Brahma, Indra, these are posts. These are like IAS officers. At different times, different entities can occupy the post, like the chief secretary. For 5 years, one person is chief secretary. Next 5 years, another person is chief secretary, and so on. So Brahma, in his lifetime, one particular person is Brahma. And Indra, in a few classes back, I mentioned the personality named Purandara. He is the present Indra in this present, in this present Manvantara. In this present Manvantara, the Indra is person named Purandara. So these are posts occupied by different people. But the Shiva is not a post. Shiva is not a post. Shiva is an eternal. He's a Sadashiva. He's a very special tattva of his own. He's above the Jiva Tattva and he's below Vishnu Tattva. So this is Lord Shiva's post. Okay. And he has the 11 Rudras are his expansions.
Thanks a lot, Prabhu. Very clear, Prabhu. Very wonderful class, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Pranam, Prabhu.
What is your name, Prabhu? What is your name?
I'm Shiv Kumar. Prabhu.
Okay. Where are you from, Prabhu?
I'm from Rarewali, Prabhu, Rajaji Nagar, but I'm now at present in Chennai.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Shiv Kumar. Thank you, Shiv Kumar, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai. And thank you to all the wonderful devotees. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हरे कृष्ण। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare
हरे
Krishna.
कृष्ण। हरे कृष्ण। हरे कृष्ण।